Warning. Due to the nature of what this video discusses, some sections, or more specifically, images, may be a little unnerving. Feel free to close the video. If you cannot handle the man-made horrors of the early internet, you have been warned.
On your mark, get set. We're riding on the internet, cyberspace, set free. Hello, virtual reality. Interactive appetite, searching for a website, a window to the world to get online. Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
Do you ever see something online and think, where did that come from? Like, take a look at this image. If you've spent any length of time on the internet, I'm sure you know who this is. This is the image associated with the creepypasta Jeff the Killer, a story written and uploaded to Newgrounds in 2008 by user Killer Jeff, or his more well-known handle, Sessoir. The creepypasta itself is a mixed bag. There are quite a few opinions on the story's quality. However, for many, myself included, the creepypasta is not the interesting part. It's this image tied to it. Many began to wonder where it came from, as it's clearly an edited photo of someone. But who is it? Well, we'll come back to this later, because my god, is this one hell of a rabbit hole. The internet has had many mysteries in its infancy. It's just what anonymity brings. Typically, many urban legends would appear on forum sites, such as 4chan, or more specifically, its paranormal or export. These threads, which is what posts were referred to as on 4chan, would often be cryptic in nature, made to intrigue those reading and make them engage and want to know more. Let's take for example the ARG/possibly true story Erratas, which originated on 4chan, having first been discussed by an anonymous user on the 25th or 26th of November 2015 in a deceivingly simple thread, which details how the user spoke with a woman who was given a strange job at a factory by a temporary employment agency. It reads,
"They had a programming department that made payroll programs for other companies or something along those lines. But by the time she got there, it was just literally one dude, and they were giving him random jobs to do, like working assembly lines and running forklifts. They put her and this dude in a room, gave them a couple tape guns, and had them pack stuff in boxes. Most stuff there had the names of their respective departments written on them in a Sharpie, but hers said Erratas on it, or however the fuck it's spelled. The dude told her to get rid of the tape gun and not to mention it to any supervisors, since apparently one of his jobs years before had been writing code to flag any employees that searched for it in their computer system. Not any old word, just that one, and they'd fire you if you got flagged. Weird shit." Number 50.
This naturally intrigued those who read it. And this is where the rabbit hole began. After this initial discussion, more instances of Erratas began to surface online. Attention was drawn to an obscure channel spoke about in another thread, interested in creating a new genre of music, deep internet, which looked to pull samples from incredibly obscure online sources, some of which were from YouTube. The channel's name was Chronos for Life Jurassic Park, and it had uploaded a video titled "YouTube is monitoring and controlling my life" on the 24th of January 2016. The video has many parallels to the original 4chan thread. Chronos says YouTube algorithms are targeting his and his deceased mother's Jurassic Park fan videos. It should be noted as well, the keyword Erratas in the story is supposedly an algorithm utilized by massive corporations that detects when Erratas is searched. If it is detected, it flags and promptly fires the user responsible for its discovery. That's the general idea of Erratas, but there's an image attached to the ARG that is quite unnerving. In the context of the story, this image was posted on Twitter by an individual named Todd Ellsworth, a key player in the Erratas ARG. Mr. Ellsworth had uploaded a video to YouTube on the 21st of November 2015 of a song by the band KFC Murder Chicks, a quite unremarkable upload, had it not been for the description, Erratas or Rust. Connections were quickly made between Todd Ellsworth and Chronos for Life. Firstly, because both mentioned, whether it be directly or discreetly, Erratas, and secondly, people discovered Todd Ellsworth is an anagram for The Lost World, the second Jurassic Park film. The Erratas mystery is an interesting one. The idea of a widely used but secret algorithm is an incredibly fascinating concept, and taps into that fear of mass surveillance. But back to the image. This man, this mugshot, people began to wonder who or what this was. And to tell you the truth, the answer is terrifying. This is a police sketch of a Hawaiian serial rapist, and as far as I can tell, his identity is unknown, and the case has been cold for many years. Why Mr. Ellsworth posted this is a mystery to me, but what makes this image so unnerving is the thought that this man is still potentially out there, somewhere, and also the fact it's black and white. He seems familiar, but at the same time, so far from anything or anyone. You'll begin to notice something about most creepypasta / urban legend / ARG content online. It'll more often than not have an image attached to it, or have one that becomes synonymous with it. Pictures stick in your head more than words, and when it comes to creepypasta, I think no image, other than Jeff the Killer, has stuck in so many minds quite like the... For the uninitiated, this is Smile Dog, a creepypasta, potentially, uploaded to 4chan's paranormal board in 2008 by Michael Lutz. The creepypasta's origins are quite a mystery. There's no definite explanation as to where it came from or originated. However, we know what the idea for Smile Dog was. Essentially, it was a demonic-like entity that would linger in the minds of those who saw its image, smile.jpg. It would then tell them to spread the image around, and it would fester. It's a pretty simple concept, and it's actually quite an interesting one that makes for a great internet urban legend. Now, obviously it's fake. I mean, come on.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
The concept is similar in nature to another creepypasta that's going to be discussed later.
That's no good.
But an image can't make you actually go insane or make you do something. It was just to further add to the fear factor the image brought, and I mean, it is quite an unsettling image. It was just the seemingly unexplainable nature of it. Where is this place? Why does the dog look so warped and distorted? Why are its eyes like that? There were just so many questions, and after a while, people wanted answers. The hunt began for the origins of the Smile Dog image/images. Oh yes, Smile Dog as a concept has two forms, illustrated via the images. Form 1 is where it appears a little distorted, just had the smile, and the image itself was not very edited. It was just a husky with a grin. Form 2 is the most iconic, that red demonic looking full face smiling synonymous with the legend. Now, let's take a step back. So quiet up and listen down. Scratch that. For this investigation and many more in this video, I'd like to take you to a Discord server named J.T.K Image Search Official. Yes, we see Jai over here. Can you guess what they specialize in? Despite being primarily focused on its namesake, there are also external threads on the server dedicated to uncovering the origins of other creepypasta legends and just generally obscure images, like this demonic annoying orange you may have seen, which was just the result of an image AI prompt, annoying orange in CSGO. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. On presumably the 21st of June 2024, user Naskivic, apologies if I butchered that, posted the thread Smile Dog, wanting to find the origins of 3 key parts of the image: the background, dog, and its teeth.
When it's least expected, you're elected, you're the star today. Smile, you're on Game Boy Cam.
All of these images were found. The teeth are just an image of some gross looking stretched out teeth. The background is of a dimly lit room with some curtains, and the dog itself is a husky, looking really shocked. There is also another thread on the server created on the 25th of July 2023 by Gamerboy titled Smile Dog Non-Deep Fried Version, which looked to uncover the origins of the less distorted version of the creepypasta. Once again, many images of huskies were swapped and traded about, including this one, but unlike the first iteration, there's no concrete, definitive, 100% confirmed image found for this version. Quite surprising in a way, considering how long the image has been in circulation. There is, however, another version of Smiledog, this guy here, who had his origins found. On the creepypasta subreddit, user Apprehensive Wave 5458 posted saying they had found the original image for this iteration. He's just a little guy, but have you noticed something? It's on the other two images as well, but in the backgrounds, there are hands. Here, here, and here. It's the most tricky to see in the original image since it's so low quality, but people have also been looking for where these originated from. Returning to the original smiledog.jpg thread, user NX Firework began posting possible leads to the hand's origins, but unfortunately none of these have been confirmed to be the originals as a recording. Smiledog version 2 has this open hand, which is yet to be found. But I mean, it could be anything. It has little defining characteristics. It's just an open hand. Like, even I could possibly find it. Like, after a quick Google search, hand transparent, I found this. It looks similar, but what do I know? And Smiledog 3 is honestly quite funny. Have a look at it. It looks kind of strange, and on the Smiledog non-deep fried version thread, user Kyo Cosplayer foreshadowing wrote, "Is that the freaking Nokia hand?" And Gamerboy responded with the actual hand image. Smiledog will always be an internet legend that when you first see will unnerve you. However, taking apart the image really does help make it nowhere near as unsettling, because at the end of the day, it's just a husky with teeth edited onto it. The idea of a picture slowly driving you mad is likely what led to Smiledog's infamy online. Many users online shared the image, inadvertently making it more popular, before it eventually became synonymous with internet urban legends and creepypasta itself. However, let me show you a different form of media that is said to have a similar effect. This video is known as Mereana, Mordegard, Glesgorv, the story of which goes, there are two versions of this video. Version 1, which is 20 seconds long, this man unchanging until the last 2 seconds of it where he begins to grin, and version 2, which is 2 minutes long. However, this version is said to have caused severe stress to those who viewed it, so much so that 153 individuals who viewed it on YouTube prior to its deletion gouged out the rise and mailed them to YouTube's main office, situated in San Bruno. It is also believed the video was seen by only one YouTube staff member, who began screaming 45 seconds into it. To this day, they're said to be under constant sedation. Now, the legend is fake. Big surprise, I know. I'm sorry to be the breaker of bad news. Santa Claus is real, but Mereana, Mordegard, Glesgorv isn't. Let's take a step back and analyse the story. Firstly, how could individuals who were said to have gouged out their eyes mail them to YouTube? Secondly, how could this video of a random guy in a red room cause that? It's all about the power of suggestion. If I were to tell you that if you like this video, you'll hear great news tomorrow, you'll be more inclined to do so, even though you know for a fact deep down that won't happen.
Alright.
Viewer, the great news.
Definitely behind this door.
Do you promise?
Video. Viewer, please.
I would never lie to you.
Lots of YouTubers employ this tactic. Subscribe for blank. It's the same philosophy with this and Smiledog. No video or image can actually cause such an extreme effect on people that see them. Sure, they can freak you out and make you feel uneasy, but they don't cause these effects they claim of insanity and bodily harm. Now, for the big question, where did this come from? Well, the video is said to have began circulation around 2008, but no one knows who originally uploaded it. If you go on YouTube now, you'll see various re-uploads. Most are of the guy in red, but there are other, more unnerving in my opinion, versions of it in black and white. The video itself really is nothing special. It's just the legend that surrounds it, but people began to wonder, who is this guy? Well, the answer is kind of a letdown. According to the Death Files fandom page, it says,
2 days after the original video was uploaded, another video was posted on YouTube explaining it as an internet hoax. According to the video, it was initially made by an eBombsWorld user using photographs of an experienced marketing coordinator at an LA-based advertising agency. One of his photos was used in a 2004 survey about marketing professionals as an example of web design made by Hellman Curtis. The identity of the man was later reported by the Russian blogs as Byron Cortez, who resides in the US Virgin Islands.
So there it is. The man in the video is named Byron Cortez. Honestly, the whole story is kinda dumb, like many creepypasta tales.
Hello?
Oh my god. That's the smile dog, guys.
What?
What's up, guys? My name is Hype Mike and welcome to the hypest channel on the internet where we do the craziest 3 AM challenges. As you can see, the smile dog is a pretty creepy image, and I'm going to avoid showing this image as much as I can in this video because if you look at the image for too long, it is said that you will slowly lose your mind, and if you look at it for long enough, every time you close your eyes, that is all you will see. And the only way to reverse this curse, guys, is if you share the photo with other friends and other people that you know. I'm just gonna warn you guys now, if at any point in the video you see this image for too long, I need you guys to share this video with your friends because you do not want to risk losing your mind or seeing this in your sleep.
This reminds me of something. No! Not again. Not again. Anyway, it's just the power of suggestion and the campfire ghost story element that led to Mereana, Mordegard, Glesgorv spread online. Something else quite underwhelming is the name. The name of the story actually means nothing. Like, that's not me being hyperbolic. It's just gibberish that doesn't translate to anything. It just sounds cryptic. I do find this story quite funny, and it definitely has a place in creepypasta history.
Oh, okay!
But it is dumb, and the only origins that were found from it was the identity of the man, Byron Cortez. Let's stay on the topic of kinda dumb but entertaining creepypastas. This is a creepypasta named Mario, created by Super Mario World Central user Adam. It tells the story of how he was browsing the ROM section of the site one day and how he discovered a strange hack just titled Mario. The user was confused by some of the contents in the ROM hack. Certain parts of the game were changed and the whole thing was just quite unnerving. I'm not going to read out the full creepypasta here as that would just take quite a while. Plus there are many other videos that you could watch that do just that. However, I would like to draw your attention to the image in the story. This. The image was originally a TXT file that came with the ROM hack. The hack's notoriety led the founder of Super Mario World Central, Kieran, to inform Adam that this text document could actually be converted back into a JPEG. There was already a clue within it that said it was a picture. Find me, find me, find me, find me, find me, find me. Kieran then tried converting it back manually, but that just left him with a corrupt, barely viewable image. Only the top was visible, but he then tried using reverse image search on what he got, hoping to find a match for its resolution, and it was successful. But what is the image? Well, it's a shock image. Big surprise, something that sticks in your mind as soon as you see it. But what is it really? Well, this image is known as Mario Victim 1, and many were curious to figure out what it was and where it came from. It looks to be an image of a person, obviously incredibly distorted to a point of it being barely recognizable. But this didn't stop individuals eager to know more. Many theories were posed as to where it came from, but it was eventually found by user God in the Victim Cord Discord server. The original image is this, of a cosplayer named doing a cosplay of the heavy metal band Dir on Grey's vocalist, Kyo. The image was found on the 1st of September 2023, and later the full unedited version of the image was found on the 9th of September 2023 by Potential 4chan user Act8113. I've used the word potentially a lot and been a lot less detailed in this explanation, and I do apologise. However, unlike for example Erratas, for investigations of images, most of the investigating is conducted on Discord servers and less easy to access means, as a way to negate potential fake information being spread about. Completely fair enough on their part. However, it makes it tricky for me to investigate after the fact, mostly because the Discord servers get turned into something else and then the chats are difficult to navigate. It's just this in turn makes it a bit more tricky for me to piece together a full timeline that's completely explained, so I do apologise again. However, hopefully the next creepypasta is a bit more detailed.
As a parent, I've never been happier than when my children ask their friends over for an internet computer party. I'd like to add a word about safety, though. You have to remember the internet is not a regulated environment.
If you don't post this image on another image board within 1 hour, something terrible will happen at the end of the year. There are also people who died because they didn't send this picture.
Some kind of face, with clearly photoshopped on eyes, teeth, and blood, because less spooky. The image was commonly used as a screamer, a genre of photo used online as a jump scare.
What?
working on.
More often than not, these screamers were hidden in regular websites or GIFs, looking to startle whoever was unfortunate enough to come across them. Though, around the time of this image's peak, you definitely could have had worse screamers or shock images. But anyway, wow, I really do keep getting sidetracked. Apologies. Although, it is what you signed up for in a way. I mean, I made a 23-minute long video about lankypox.
This is the face of the clinically insane.
It's believed that this began circulating sometime in 2005, such as in this image, uploaded on the 25th of December 2005 by 2chan user Another R. 2chan, by the way, was a now defunct Japanese text board. It was basically the inspiration for 4chan, which looked to be an English equivalent to the previously mentioned forum site. Anyway, the text in the image read... Once again, it's the power of suggestion in effect. The photo is just unsettling to look at, regardless of a backstory, but it's the added on parts which led to its infamy, as well as the Facebook page. A little off topic as well, I've noticed that I tend to give a backstory to these images prior to just immediately telling you their origins, but that's important to do, I feel, because, for example, if you don't know what, say, Mereana Mordegard Glesgorv was, would you really care about where it came from? It's important to provide context to these images, because it not only explains what they are and how they achieved infamy, but also makes you intrigued and want to know more. As well as this, it lets me make a longer, more detailed video. Anyway, mock therapy session over. The Facebook page is what gave this image its reputation. It's something not only unnerving, but associated with straight up illegality. No one knows where the Facebook page came from, as in no IP address or anything was linked to it, but it was created in early June of 2015. The account would upload strange cryptic messages, which included things like coordinates. These coordinates would lead to random locations in the world, and would often themselves have further cryptic elements, such as text that needed reversed. This reversed text could then be translated. Again, all very strange. However, this account didn't just post coordinates, it would also post a lot more sinister content, such as gore and NSFW material, which it allegedly sent to minors. In regards to the coordinates, I wish I could provide more screenshots. However, the account was not backed up really by anyone, other than some screenshots featured in YouTube videos, such as this one by Scarefearter, and this one by the Internet Investigator, as well as having one snapshot on the Wayback Machine. However, this really does little preservation. Not that you'd want it to, really. The account is honestly just completely vanished, and as I said previously, no one knows who was behind it or what their motive for all of this was. Despite this lack of preservation though, the name for this account has gone down in infamy, and it's now forever tied to its profile picture, Ahenobarbus Henocied. Ahenobarbus Henocied used this as their profile picture on Facebook, and the origins of the image can be brought back to 2chan, where the original image actually potentially came from a thread with the simple request, "Make me cute," using this image of a doll as a base. In terms of how this was found, according to a Reddit post by user Erratas Redux, they say a Japanese YouTuber by the name of had actually been sent the original image from a viewer. This image is named dollthing.jpg. Later, a Yahoo auction listing was found for the same doll, except this image showed its full body. User Sophian in the Jeff the Killer image search official Discord is credited for the discovery in this announcement. For the eyes and mouth in the image, the origins of those were actually found to have been used in these gifs of a video game cutscene, when the eyes and mouth would appear on screen as a screamer for a couple of frames. Ahenobarbus Henocied as a whole was just built on shock. The image doesn't even have a creepypasta attached to it really, apart from one named Gurgles and Bugman, which uses the image as a preface for the story. The creepiness factor comes in from how this image came from practically nowhere, and isn't associated with much other than disturbing subject matter, i.e. the Facebook page.
Oh no! Laughing stock! That's one whale of a storm! We better run and hide!
It'll be your hide if you turn tail, Percy! Be brave! Brave the waves! Oh, look! It's Bravery Cave! You have to go inside.
Oh, this is one of my favorites. This is Candle Cove, a short creepypasta created by Chris Straub in 2009. It was originally published on his website ickerfalls.com and is about forum users reminiscing about an old kids TV show they all watched, Candle Cove. The show allegedly consisted of various characters, such as Pirate Percy, who was kinda the main character in the show. He was the timid captain of the Laughingstock, the pirate ship, which sported large eyes and a big grin. As well as Percy and the Laughingstock, there was a little girl named Janice, who imagined herself to be friends with the pirates, being a possible cause for the show itself. However, it wouldn't be a show without villains, and of course Candle Cove had them. The main antagonist of the show was a skeletal-like creature named the Skin Taker, who wore a cloak made out of the skin of children. Hang on a sec. And his villainous, one-eyed sidekick named Horace Horrible. As the creepypasta goes on, forum users quickly began to remember just how honestly sinister and weird the show was, such as mentioning that it had a screaming episode, which, as the name suggests, was just a 30-minute long episode of the characters screaming. No pauses, no story, no nothing, just screams. What made this creepypasta so special, however, was not just how short and to the point it was, but also its twist at the end. The final message from forum user Mike Painter65 read as follows. I visited my mum today at the nursing home. I asked her about when I was little in the early 70s, when I was 8 or 9, and if she remembered a kids show, Candle Cove. She said she was surprised I could remember that, and I asked why, and she said, because I used to think it was so strange that you said, I'm gonna go watch Candle Cove now, Mum, and then you would tune the TV to static and just watch dead air for 30 minutes. You had a big imagination with your little pirate show. A children's show that was not only sinister, but also potentially supernatural was the perfect recipe for a creepypasta icon, and wow, did Candle Cove take off. The single story caused fan art to be created depicting the characters, helping to bring life to the tale. Videos created by fans, which looked to try and create episodes mentioned in the creepypasta. We'll get back to this. A fan-made theme song. Yo! And the big one, an entire TV show, or no, I should clarify, a season of a TV show titled Channel Zero, which sought to bring different creepypasta stories to television on the Sci-Fi Channel, with each season covering a different story, Candle Cove being the first. I've watched the season before, granted it was a while ago, but to my recollection it was actually pretty interesting. Obviously the most interesting part was seeing the show brought to life in a more professional but still ominous manner. However, what do you get when you don't have the backing of a whole TV network behind you? Well, you get more low quality offerings. As I mentioned before, fans of Candle Cove decided to try and create their own versions of episodes mentioned in the creepypasta, specifically the screaming episode, since prior to Channel Zero, there were no official designs of the characters. It was a free-for-all, and anyone could have made anything, and that's what they did. In July of 2009, YouTube user JoeJacob666 uploaded his recreation of the screaming episode featured in the original creepypasta. It begins with text reading, Candle Cove, then cuts to multiple clips of characters dancing alongside blood-curdling screams. This goes on for a minute or so before the screen quickly flashes to this creature and then static. Okay, by today's standards and the current internet climate, where even the most horrific, deplorable things get turned into memes, take Erratas as an example, this video is dumb. It's just the audio which could be construed as creepy, that and its absurdity. If you were to show this to someone who's never heard of Candle Cove, I doubt they'd find it scary. They'd be more confused than anything, and rightfully so. However, this video, to an extent, has become synonymous with the creepypasta, as it was one of the few recreations to take off in terms of popularity. But naturally, people wanted to know where these videos came from, and just how this was made. Because taking a look at each clip and carefully inspecting them reveals differing camera qualities, alluding to the fact that these cannot have been taken by one person. As mentioned previously, the video features various characters dancing alongside the screams, and it opens with this puppet on stage throwing some serious shapes. This guy is meant to be a depiction of Pirate Percy. Yes. I mean, I know when this video was made, there were no official designs, but still, it's not even a pirate. This is probably the most iconic part of the video. To me anyway, it's the first thing that comes into my mind when I think screaming episode. because that happens on a regular basis. It's likely because it appears first, and it's a little unnerving to see this thing just moving around like that while the screams begin. Anyway, what's odd about it is that the original video for this clip still hasn't been found. There's a presumed recording of the show it's taken from on YouTube, being that of some kind of puppet show dance thing, but it's unconfirmed. However, the other videos in the supposed screaming episode have been found. After Pirate Percy, we see this skeleton, who is likely meant to be a representation of the Skin Taker, rising from a coffin. Throughout the video, it's kind of looking around, similar to the other puppets featured. None of them really look like they're screaming, more so that they just happen to be there while the screaming plays. Well, this skeletal figure was taken from a marionette performance in Prague, uploaded on the 31st of July 2008. The description reads, "This is a video my friend Angela filmed while in Prague. It's a street performer with his skeleton marionette, a really fantastic display of excellent puppetry." And honestly, I have to agree with the sentiment. I mean, just look at this guy. After the skeleton puppet, the video then shows this thing appearing to mouth something, and that reason is that it was taken from a video titled Bobby the White-Nosed Red Hat, Feliz Navidad, uploaded on the 15th of December 2008, just in time for the holidays, in which our main man, Bobby, performs his rendition of Feliz Navidad. Very moving. The description of the video read, "Bobby the White-Nosed Red Hat sings Feliz Navidad for Christmas." Feliz Navidad. Aww. And lastly, prior to this creature appearing briefly on screen, the video splices in clips of this little girl crying alongside the puppets. This is meant to represent Janice in the original story. Oh yeah, should have mentioned as well, but Bobby is likely meant to represent the Horror's Horrible. Anyway, this clip of the girl crying is taken from a video uploaded on the 22nd of April 2007. Titled Remy Fake Crying. Can you guess what it's about? The description read simply as this: "My daughter's first acting try." That's really as far as this video's origins go. The video does obviously have a lot of screaming, but the origins of these are taken from random videos. There's a playlist that compiles all of the video's origins that I'll link in the description. It also includes the origins of the screaming, so definitely give it a look if you want to see more. Candle Cove to me is just such a perfect story. It's simple, unnerving, and has a fantastic twist at the end, which has so many more layers. It leaves you wanting more, and having it built upon with an actual show was brilliant. There's a reason it's held in such high regard among the creepypasta community.
Hello there, I'm Professor Helper. Here, try this.
You are a winner. You win.
And now it's time for the Creepypasta Quickfire Round. Before we move away from the genre and onto more general internet origins, I'd like to briefly mention a few more creepypastas which I think deserve a look. Do I even have to say anything? Sonic.exe is a creepypasta created in 2011 by an individual named Jack Cranley, or Jai-C the Hyena. The basic story of the original is like that of many other video game urban legends. Old copy of game, looks odd, then oh no, less spooky blood, ah! Chances are you'll more so know Sonic.exe from the fan game that was created for it, which was then played by various YouTubers such as PewDiePie and Markiplier. This fan game was created on the 13th of August 2012 by Adam Gavigan. But look, if I'm being honest with you, Sonic.exe doesn't really have any origins to dissect, as it's just based on the pre-existing IP, and the creators of the creepypasta and game are known. I just wanted to include it as it's basically a part of internet history, despite the frequent ridicule the original story receives, similar to that of Jeff the Killer, and the sketchy nature of its creator. Here's another video game creepypasta focused on one of my favourite games of all time, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, which, if you know anything about, should be a match made in heaven in terms of horror potential. The tone of the game is already a lot darker compared to other games in the franchise, as it has you playing as Link, trying to stop the moon from crashing into the land of Termina. To prevent said disaster, you need to repeat a 3-day cycle for as long as it takes you. All the while, you see NPCs time and time again coming to terms with their eventual lens, making peace with death. It can honestly be brutal at times. This creepypasta is named Bend Round, and it's about an individual named J.T.K who bought a copy of the game from an old man at a garage sale or car boot sale. The creepypasta takes the form of yet another 4chan export thread, asking forum users for help about his situation after acquiring the game, because after playing for a while, J.T.K quickly begins to notice many oddities, glitches, and bizarre happenings, such as constantly being followed by a Link statue, or save files being renamed, altered, deleted, etc. Now, this would all be standard creepypasta fanfare. No, bad thing happened, the game old. But what makes Bend Round stand out from other stories like it is that J.T.K took it a step further and actually created videos to go along with his story, showcasing the strange behaviour in the game, all of which are incredibly well made and help to bring the creepypasta to life. Once again though, I do apologise for leading you astray, but there really isn't a whole lot to mention in terms of origins or lost media with this one. It's just a genuinely brilliant story that did something so unique for the time, that being 2010. This is a strange one. It's not a creepypasta, but it is still quite unsettling. This is Agamemnon Counterpart, a video uploaded to YouTube on the 13th of June 2006 by user Vivid Telefuzzerator. However, they are not the creator or creators of the video. That would instead be Michael Ronson and Jason Kovac, who had created the short video for Destination Imagination 2001, which was an art showcase / competition. The video itself is incredibly strange. It opens with the message,
"In the year 2571, a video cassette tape was found in a pile of rubble on the ruins of a certain blue planet. What you are about to witness will not be the contents of the aforementioned cassette. This is an entirely different recording."
Then the video cuts to two warped cartoon characters saying, "Let's make a new friend," before it devolves into absolute pandemonium. Screams begin to play, along with this eerie synth music. All the while the visuals begin to break down even further, only vaguely resembling some kind of kids show. It ends with a figure standing as the environment deteriorates. It's a really odd video, and it just leaves you with questions. Why was this made? How was this made? With prior knowledge, the first question has an answer, but the second one? Well, you'd have to go a little deeper. Let's start with the music. The song featured is taken from the 1976 film The Human Tornado, featuring Jimmy Lynch and Xavier Chapman. I'm gonna be honest, it's really strange watching this clip knowing about Agamemnon Counterpart. It just feels unnatural.
Introducing to some and presenting to others, Xavier Chapman and his company.
It just feels unnatural. When it comes to the screaming, it's taken from a 2015 French horror film named A Cry from Within. Hello, it's me from the future here to interject. I made a blunder of gargantuan proportions in the script, so I'm just here to clear the air. This was not taken from the 2015 film A Cry from Within. It was taken from the 1972 French film Cries from Within. That was my mistake. And as for the visuals, the big one, the visuals aren't taken from any pre-existing media, as far as I'm aware. The video was made for an art competition, so chances are it would have been the artist who made it. It's very convincing though. It's nostalgic, and yet it's so unnerving to look at it twitch and warp while the music plays. Here we have one of the pioneers. Everyone knows who this is, and if you somehow don't, I have no words. This is Slenderman, a character / creepypasta created by Eric Knudsen on the 10th of June 2009 for a Something Awful Photoshop contest thread. The thread asked users to create strange paranormal images, and Mr. Knudsen, under the alias Victor Surge, posted 2 black and white photos, both of which featuring groups of children and a tall, thin figure wearing a suit. These were the first instances of Slenderman online, in his origins, so to speak. The story of Slender was inspired by many writings prior, such as the works of H.P. Lovecraft, sightings of Mothman and mythos, folklore, and more. Knudsen included paragraphs to accompany his photos, which helped to give both of them backstories. The paragraph below the first image read,
"We didn't want to go, we didn't want to kill them, but its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time." 1983. Photographer unknown. presumed dead.
And the paragraph below the second image read,
One of 2 recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished and for what is referred to as the Slender Man. Deformities cited as film defects by officials. Fire at library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence. 1986. Photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June 14th, 1986.
These paint the picture that the Slender Man caused these individuals to vanish, and that these 2 photographs are the only surviving remnants of the victims. This extra layer adds further terror to the already quite unnerving images. After the initial Photoshop contest, the Slenderman legend began to rapidly spread online, and countless fan works were created inspired by it, such as the YouTube series Marble Hornets, created by Troy Wagner and Joseph Delage, having first been uploaded to YouTube on the 20th of June 2009. Wow, they were quick with that. The series is great. I'm not going to say too much about it here for one reason or another, but definitely give it a watch. It's fascinating to watch the evolution of ARG and creepypasta content online. The Slenderman mythos also brought debatably its most well-known piece of media, that being Slenderman The 8 Pages, a Unity game created by indie game developer Mark J. Hadley, in June 2012, where it would be released by his one-man studio Parsec Productions. The game is incredibly simple and honestly kind of boring at times, but it was a horror game in 2012, and I think you can guess what that meant.
How's it going, bro? My name is
Slenderman is an internet icon, a staple in creepypasta culture as a whole, and indisputably one of the most important creations online in the past couple of decades. Nothing has came close to Slenderman's impact, and it's all thanks to one individual, Eric Knudsen. Okay, we've been talking about creepypastas for quite a while, but how about we have a little respite from it all? Image and/or video origins do not end at just creepypasta. Various other internet mysteries have appeared over the years, for even the most simple topics, with individuals eager to find out where they came from and how they were made. Wait, did I say image or video? Nah, we can do music too.
You can find anything from planning a vacation to MTV or real-time live audio. The net is fabulous.
On the 7th of October 2021, a music sharing site named What's That Song brought to the world user Carl92, who uploaded this excerpt of an unidentified song. The description was simple. Mid-80s, bad quality. Everyone knows that. This was the clip. This sparked a search of legendary proportions, spanning over many years, all of whom participating united by the same goal, to find where this song came from, or who made it. Due to the clip's short duration and the only decipherable part being can you guess what the song came to be known as? This clip has pretty much become synonymous with lost media. The Everyone Knows That search is basically the epitome of users online, coming together for what most would consider a pointless goal. However, how did the hunt kick off? Well, users on What's That Song began to take interest in the sample, and a few replies were made to Carl92's post. Longer sample could be helpful. I think that this one sounds like that it's from 1990s to mid-2000s, most of which Carl92 responded to. Many were curious as to where he specifically had this sample saved, and Carl92 made it clear he found this, as well as other old files, on an old DVD backup. Users also began to share theories as to what the lyrics were in the sample Carl92 provided, but this was proving to be of little help. These exchanges between users carried on for many months, and interest continued to grow. However, the search just didn't get off the ground for a while, mainly because of how little info Carl92 could or would provide as to where they remembered hearing this. Eventually, the snippet found its way onto YouTube, having been uploaded to the site by user J.K, and spreading Everyone Knows That even further. More communities online began to get involved with the search, and users on the internet became united by the simple goal: find where this song came from. Years went by speculating and theorizing, and a Reddit community was eventually made on the 19th of June 2023, which helped to bring together those eager to find the origins of the clip. April 2024, however, would prove to be the month for Everyone Knows That, as on the subreddit, moderator OneTruth5867 found in an interesting film titled Taboo 3 that a song featured was strikingly similar to Everyone Knows That.
You be my job, I'll be your pay.
As well as this, they found in the description two names credited: Christopher St. Booth and Philip Adrian Booth, who had a BMI and SOCAN registering ulterior motives. This prompted them to share the discovery on the subreddit, causing user South Pole Ball to get into contact with OneTruth. The two then began sifting through more of these films, hoping to get a breakthrough. And that they did. On the 28th of April 2024, South Pole Ball found the song, finding it to be in the 1986 film Angels of Passion. Shortly after the discovery, on the same day, further investigation was made into the two believed to be the creators of the song, the Booth brothers, and both Christopher St. Booth's Instagram and Facebook were found, and flooded with questions regarding Everyone Knows That, after initial questions from OneTruth. Mr. Booth confirmed his affiliation with the song on the 1st of May that same year, beginning to bring the nearly 3-year search to a close. After the discovery, the Booth brothers announced they would release a remake of the song, alongside other lost tunes, in their album Ulterior Motives, The Lost Album. Documenting development of the music on Instagram, the Booth brothers found the original instrumental tracks that featured in the original recording of the song. However, the original vocals were lost, prompting a re-recording that sounds incredibly faithful to the original, despite the almost 4-decade gap. Everyone Knows That was later found to be used in other media, not just Angels of Passion. The instrumental was found by user Venny to be featured in a commercial for Asian Sex Hotline from Canada, broadcasted in 1992, having been uploaded to YouTube on the 26th of April 2017.
Hi, we're waiting for you. 1976-0090.
It's the freak phone, and here's the party freak, Freddy Freaker.
Everyone Knows That was also found to be featured in other interesting films, such as Sun Bunnies, released in 1991, which was found by user SomeCartographer9 after they were browsing Booth's IMDb page, as well as the film Unveiled, released in 1986, having been found by user Octanuary after finding out Booth had an alias he also used, named Cinema Symphonies, which was credited in Unveiled. Everyone Knows That is the perfect example of the internet coming together for a seemingly pointless goal. I mean, the song very easily could have been brushed to the side. Carl92's upload could have been glanced at, then promptly forgotten about. But that sense of intrigue, that want to find closure and find out just where it originated, sparked a search that will forever be synonymous with lost media, especially in audio. For many, this is the lost media song, and in a way, that's oddly terrifying. In an age where we have access to everything at our fingertips, the idea of something just being lost is insane for most. The Booth brothers nearly 4 decades ago sat down, planned this song out, wrote the lyrics, recorded it, mixed it, got it registered, allowed its use in films, then nothing. It faded into obscurity to such an extent where only a 17-second long snippet on a CD survived, which when listened to didn't prompt a "I remember this" or an "oh yeah, that's..." No, there was no recollection, no memory of this song's existence, and that very thought is quite unnerving. To have a work almost vanish from anyone's memory. This is likely why the search took off quite the way it did. That want and need to preserve every piece of media. It's why emulation for games is so popular. No, it's not just piracy. It's that need for preservation. We can't have works of art just vanish like that. Everything should and deserves to be remembered. We've all seen a celebrity portrait before, or a celebrity caricature, you know, something like this.
Come on. Here we go now. My name is House.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Degreasing pizza.
It's meant to capture the likeness of whoever it's trying to portray, and most of the time, you can easily tell who it is. Oh, that's Jim Parsons. Oh, that's Elon Musk. Oh, that's, what? But what happens when you get a portrait you can't identify? Well, you get a lost media search that spanned 4 years. In 2020, Reddit user Tonsa H began making posts asking fellow users for help identifying celebrities on curtains/fabric they owned. They first posted to the subreddit r/tip-of-my-tongue on the 27th of January 2020. However, they also shared the photos of the fabric on other subreddits, such as r/lost. Tonsa H provided context to the curtains, saying their grandmother had made them out of fabric bought from a store in maybe 2008. Individuals then responded to these posts with theories and ideas, and eventually many of the celebrities featured were identified. These were Adriana Lima, Josh Holloway, Adriana Lima again, Jessica Alba, Travis Fimmel, Ian Somerhalder, and Orlando Bloom. However, there was one celebrity that just couldn't be identified, this person, and they came to be known as Celebrity Number 6. Tonsa H continued to post on subreddits inquiring and trying to find answers for the fabric, and eventually the search began to pick up attention, which led to the creation of a dedicated subreddit r/celebrity number 6, in a similar vein to that of Everyone Knows That. Users just couldn't work out who this was. There wasn't much to go on, because nobody could even really agree what gender they were, although most believed them to be female. Individuals then realised that the photos used for the other celebrities featured were taken around 2003 to 2007, so users tried searching for images and photo shoots from around that time period, as well as researching famous celebrities of the time, such as Olivia Wilde and Taylor Kitsch. Is that Kitsch? Kitsch and Taylor Kitsch. What do you say? Hundreds of celebrities were theorized to be 6, but no photo matches could be found. However, Redditors were able to track down where the curtains actually came from, finding them to be from Finnish department store Antilla, where they were featured in their 2009 summer catalogue. It was also found that they were supplied by in the Czech Republic. Unfortunately, however, didn't give the name of the designer. Despite this, the hunt was still going strong, with celebrity names continuing to get tossed around, such as Johnny Depp and Brad Pitt. And for a while, one of the most plausible candidates was Philippa Hamilton. It's clear to see why so many thought Hamilton was celebrity number 6. Her face shape is incredibly similar. As well as this, certain photo shoots of her had her wearing similar clothing to that of 6, mainly this button-down shirt, where she too has that deadpan expression. Hamilton herself was also notified to the search, and she was asked by a user on Reddit in her DMs. Her response was a thumbs up. This gave users on the subreddit hope, finally after years, 6's identity might finally be revealed, but unfortunately this wasn't the case. Hamilton couldn't track down any photographs that matched that of 6's pose, and the lead began to fizzle out. Despite this hope, then eventual setback, the subreddit in search persisted until a breakthrough. When the hunt started to take off, users tried many methods of searching. Some people looked at photo shoots from around 2008, and some people meticulously combed through archives of photographs, regardless of what they were from that time period. And some people, like user Stefan Morse, tried reverse image searching. Since 6 only appeared on a piece of fabric in this odd shade of blue, what individuals did was they touched up the image to appear itself like a photograph of whoever it was. They'd then put this into the reverse image search tool, like TinEye, hoping it would display similar images. And that it did. On the 4th of September 2024, user Momu97 posted on the celebrity number 6 subreddit Letitia Sarda, a model Stefan Morse found while searching for C6, which showed many photos of previous Spanish model Letitia Sarda. Even just a glance at any one of these photos would immediately flag up similarities between her and 6. Similar face shape, similar hairstyle, similar facial features. She really bore a resemblance to 6, and users in the comments comments acknowledged this. Users on the subreddit were excited at this discovery. For many, this was the closest match they'd ever seen to 6, and hope was building as to whether the original image, whether it was of Sarda or not, would be found. Well, it would all get revealed a mere 4 days later. After this discovery, user Indigo Room contacted photographer Leonardo Escarcel, apologies if I butchered that, I definitely did, who had ties to Sarda during her modelling days, to inquire about the search, Sarda, and more photographs of her, as very few were actually online during the search. Escarcel confirmed he had taken the original photo of Sarda, and in exchange he and Indigo Room shared, and sent over said image not long after. He also explained that the photo had been taken without permission for use on the fabric. Indigo Room then reached out to Letitia Sarda herself for further discussion and to see if she had the full version of the photograph Escarcel sent over. After searching through old fashion books, Sarda was able to find it and sent it over to Indigo Room. It was then, on the 8th of September 2024, that Indigo Room posted his discovery to the subreddit. The funniest thing about this whole search is that Letitia Sarda didn't actually know what was going on. She was interviewed by Vanity Fair just the day after the announcement posted by Indigo Room, and many of Sarda's responses during which was just her shock at realising this was all going on under her nose, and how following the discovery, people stalked her in the street to get her social media. Honestly, the whole thing was likely quite overwhelming for Sarda, who, as I mentioned previously, had left modelling years before the search even began. The interview as a whole is pretty interesting. It gives context to the search before diving into the interview, and I definitely recommend you give it a read if you'd like to learn more about how Sarda took the search, discovery, and aftermath. Celebrity number 6 is once again another case of the internet coming together for preservation's sake. It's similar to Everyone Knows That. Users had very little to go on. For Everyone Knows That, it was a 17-second snippet. For this, it was a piece of fabric from the late 2000s. But those initial obstacles didn't stop dedicated individuals passionate about finding where these came from. And the strangest part about both these searches was that despite their year-long durations, both ended in 2024. Maybe it was just a year for lost media. The 6th search was odd in its own right, however, because of the source material. This fabric. The design is literally just celebrity faces plastered over a sheet with a strange filter on it. Most of the photos were also likely stolen. We know 6's was. You just always see weird stuff like this. Ornaments or fabrics or toys.
A disturbing image hidden inside a toy purchased at a local dollar store.
News Center 7's Lauren Clark with why a Kettering mother wants it off the shelves.
A mother bought her toddler this princess wand at the dollar store behind me. Imagine her surprise when the curious little girl peeled back the foil to find this image of a girl cutting herself inside.
At this point, bootleg toys are an institution. They have an odd charm to them despite their low quality. You'll definitely have seen one at some point in your life. There's no way you haven't. For the most part, they're completely innocent. Usually they just try to mimic an already existing product to make a quick buck. A little slimy, but hey, that's just the way it is. However, because of the complete lack of quality control involved in the production of these toys, sometimes something sinister will slip through the cracks, and that was the case for the toy the Evil Stick. The name is absolutely incredible and hints at the unnerving content the toy conceals. It's fair enough if you haven't heard of this toy before because it's unbelievably rare, having first been shown to the world in that news report I played previously, with that concerned mother who bought her child a toy called Evil Stick. The design of the toy really has little evil elements to it. It's some kind of fairy wand with a flower at the top and reflective foil that acts like a mirror. It also has a button that can be pressed that plays sound effects and flashes a light in the reflective foil that reveals a picture underneath, and what the hell is that? This image is what brought the Evil Stick its infamy. It appears to just be a woman with creepy eyes, but staring at it for longer makes you realise she's slitting her wrists. This is the image the mother found in the toy and what sparked outrage. People wanted answers and wanted to know who made this thing and where the hell it even came from. Users online began to discuss and speculate the origins of the Evil Stick. This didn't lead to a dedicated subreddit like For Everyone Knows That or 6, although Evil Stick discussion was had had on subreddits such as r/unsolved mysteries, where user Horseboy made this post on the 29th of September 2016. Individuals in the comments took interest in the post, and many replies were made, most notable of which coming from user Dale on the 30th of September, just a day later. They wrote,
The infamous evil stick. I know these odd toys first came to public attention about 2 years ago with that clickbait article you mentioned, but I have proof that their history in the United States goes back at least 6 years earlier than that. I'm sure this comment is going to get buried, but my best friend Trevor and I actually stumbled upon these things while shopping at a dollar store in Nyack, New York in September of 2008, so 8 years ago almost exactly. I uploaded 2 pictures of him holding the toy in the dollar store to my Flickr photo stream here, and here is one from Trevor's Flickr page. In the first 2 photos, if you look in the background, you can see the rest of the evil stick toys hanging up on the wall behind him. We thought they were just quirky, funny toys at the time. We didn't realize the horrifying truth of what was laying beneath the foil flower-shaped cutout. Perhaps it is worth noting that the dollar store, where we found the evil stick, was owned by a Chinese family and most of the toys and products sold in the store were Chinese imports.
This comment helped provided some context for the evil stick, showing that these things were kind of widespread, being prevalent in mainly dollar stores across America. But this didn't answer another question people had regarding the evil stick. Where did this image come from? This image of the woman slitting her wrists. It's striking and it sticks with you as soon as you see it. So naturally, due to how absurd the situation surrounding it was and how creepy it is, people wanted answers. The journey to find the origin of the image really isn't as expansive as something like Celebrity Number 6. It was found out by users online that the image originally came from a photographer named Butcher Ludwig, who uploaded the original image to his Facebook on the 28th of February 2014. The shoot was meant to depict that of a vampire getting ready to drink her own blood, and you can see the vision. This image was definitely never meant to be seen by children, especially in such a shocking, manipulative way. Something to note too regarding the original image is that the figure depicted doesn't have those strange red eyes seen in the evil stick rendition, implying to me at least that the creators of the evil stick found this creepy image, thought to themselves, yes, this will be the perfect photo to traumatize children with. Then they brought it into Photoshop and added red to her eyes and removed the background. The most well-known variant of the toy is the pink wand seen in the initial news report, but other versions of it actually do exist. These evil sticks come in colours orange, yellow and white. The toy was almost like a mystery bag, because not all were filled with this creepy image of the woman. Some were actually just your average little girl's magic wand toy, where pressing the button would play glitter sounds and show an anime girl. The manufacturers, for whatever reason, had almost an obsession with anime girls being used for this product. The packaging on it has this character, who was identified by Tumblr user MewCherry to be Sakura Kinomoto from the anime Cardcaptor Sakura. Something to also note, the absolute brain boxes over at Evil Stick HQ once again used Photoshop to edit this photo of Kinomoto to be holding an evil stick rather than her usual weapon. Absolute genius. The evil stick variants use many different photos for the toy, and I won't go into all of them here. Most of them are just stolen from other sources. Not a single original idea was had for creating this wretched object. Even the toy's design itself is stolen. Remember how I called it a bootleg? Yeah, that's because it was trying to mimic a Disney toy called the Disney Princess Light Up Talking Wand. Straight to the point, no messing about, which, you guessed it, functions near identically to the evil stick, minus all the man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. Pure absurdity. That's all the evil stick can be described with. The situation surrounding it was bizarre, and it's completely normal for individuals online to have wanted to find where it came from. And to an extent, they kind of did. Though it's mostly speculation, as no one really knows the company that manufactured these or who was behind the idea of them, and they've fallen into obscurity for the most part. I haven't ever seen any listed online for sale, and I doubt that will change. Let's have a look at another infamous image that was found in 2024. It's really strange. For whatever reason, 2024 was the year for lost media. The internet found Everyone Knows That, Celebrity Number 6, and I don't feel I need to introduce this image. You'll have seen it before in some way or another, but for those of you who don't know it, this is known as the Backrooms, a name given to the image in a 4chan thread posted on the 12th of May 2019, asking users to post disquieting images that just feel off, in which the image accompanied the post. An anonymous user replied to the thread and gave this description and backstory for the image.
If you're not careful and you clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum humbug, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you.
I should clarify that this wasn't the first instance of the actual photo online, but it was the first instance of it being referred to as the Backrooms. The image was shared across many 4chan threads prior from 2011 to 2018, and it left many feeling uncomfortable and like something was missing. The Backrooms later came to be known as a liminal space, a genre of image that looks to evoke a certain feeling from the individual who views it. Usually the feeling is that of nostalgia. Some liminal spaces may look familiar to you, but you just can't place exactly where they're from. The Backrooms image definitely evoked that feeling for many users, and interest quickly grew for the image, even more so after the 4chan comment. The image was spread around on sites such as Reddit, where, you guessed it, a dedicated subreddit was created on the 17th of May 2019, where users could discuss the creepypasta more in depth, and curiosity grew for the Backrooms. Not only did the backstory created by the anonymous 4chan user add mystery to it, but even just the image itself. It poses so many questions, and like all the other topics we've covered so far, the biggest one for many was, where did this image come from? The image was found by a search team, with various individuals of the team contributing their own parts to the discovery, such as user Semliot, apologies if I butchered that, who found the image had appeared in a post earlier on the 8th of April 2018, alongside other strange images. Semliot inspected the Unix file name of the post, and it pointed to an earlier date, 2012, which led them to comb through 4chan post archives from 2010, 2011, and 2012, in the hopes of finding a match for the image. However, all the images from the archives were unviewable, which meant they had to guess what could be the image with limited information they had. The image size, 62 kilobytes, and the resolution, 640 by 480. Semliot used the archive website old.sage.mo, which has thousands of 4chan threads from decades ago archived. Another individual in the search team, Sarara, went through Semliot's list of threads and looked to find image hashes, which in Semliot's own words is
essentially a unique code that 4chan and other sites use to identify images.
Most archives only had broken image hashes. However, some had them available, and this led Sarara to a breakthrough, where they had found an image hash for the Backrooms dated 2011. It was discovered that the first time this image was posted was on the 8th of March 2011 on the TV board alongside this post. An inspection of the image data revealed something promising to those in the search team. The file name for the image was dsc00161.jpg, which may seem inconsequential, but this file name revealed the image had been taken with a Sony digital camera, and that the image in the TV thread saved it from the direct source. The search then turned into trying to find a match for the file name online. Initial searches on Google proved futile. However, our main guy, Erratas Redux, Return of the King, suggested Twitter as an alternative, which proved very effective, and they eventually found an old Twitter post from the 19th of May 2019, which linked to a furniture store, with the text accompanying reading
FWIW, I've probably found the source image here. Exif says it's from 2002.
The link was broken, but Erratas Redux quickly knew to put the link in the Wayback Machine, which showed an archive from 2004, then... This was huge for all involved, and later, search team user Liam, who had assisted Semliot with archiving links previously, along with Sarara, detached the file from the website URL and put that back into the Wayback Machine, which showed an address. The phone number for the business was found by Sarara, and user Zaft, After looking through older archives of the website, I found the answer in May 2024. The original image, with its original file name, had been uploaded to the Hobbytown Oshkosh website on the 2nd of March 2003 in the renovations blog. Something to note about this webpage also is it shows another angle of the same room. For so many, the Backrooms concept is shrouded in mystery, but the hunt to find out really wasn't all too spectacular. Of course, there were some obstacles along the way, such as people making fake Blender renders of the room, actually amazing. AI mockups which increase the resolution of the image to add details that aren't there. The classic, I know where it is, but I can't say because X, Y, and Z. The usual internet trolling. But this didn't stop dedicated individuals who wanted to find the origins of this image, and it's that perseverance that's so commendable for all of these searches. The hunts may not seem that expansive because I usually end up covering them in 10 minutes or so, but you have to remember, most of these took place over many years, including the Backrooms, which, if you count the hunt beginning in 2019, lasted 5 years. It's such an iconic image, and to have its origins known for some may ruin it, but for many others, myself included, it actually adds to it. The fact that an image of a room getting ready to be renovated could have such an interesting backstory and legend surrounding it is just interesting. We've all played Minecraft, funny cube game.
I think this is Wyoming.
It's synonymous with gaming on the internet and gaming in general. It's one of the most popular games of all time and the most influential game for YouTube Let's Plays. I said game a lot there. You understand the point I'm trying to make though. I don't need to explain what Minecraft is because of how influential and important it is to internet culture as a whole. This popularity cultivated an incredibly dedicated fan base.
I was wondering, what's the recommended amount of dedicated RAM I should have to a server?
In which many individuals have dissected every aspect of the game, from its textures to its code, and especially the game's older versions. The Minecraft launcher is really cool because it allows you to play any version of the game, from something as inconsequential as the version before your current one to all the way back to the alpha stages of the game. And going back to these versions is incredibly fascinating. Not many played Minecraft in its alpha stages, as alpha testing is primarily reserved for in-house. However, a few may have played the game's beta stages, which had a primitive survival mode with no hunger bar, really sinister lighting when it turned dark, and basic animations. It's nowhere near as expansive as the game is now, with its plethora of updates, but you can still understand why it gained popularity and became adored by the gaming community. The alpha version is what we want to focus on for this search, however, as it introduced one of Minecraft's most iconic images. This. This is known as Pack.PNG, the image used in the resource packs menu for Minecraft's default textures, first appearing in alpha version 1.2.2, which introduced texture pack support. It's an image taken in-game of a mountain from a randomly generated seed. The image contains very little information. It has a waterfall, some trees, and some clouds. Nothing about the image is particularly noteworthy. It only really means something to those who play Minecraft. It's quite nostalgic in a way because of how long it has been in the game. Now, I'm sure I don't need to tell you what thought eventually crossed a select few players' minds. It's the question posed for every other mystery featured so far, and it's one that in itself can cultivate a community. Where did this come from? The search began to gain attention and basically started after YouTuber SalC1 uploaded on the 14th of January 2020 the mystery of the Minecraft Pack.PNG file, in which he details where the image first appears in Minecraft, his interest in finding the image's origins, the dead ends he faced, and he ends it with a call to arms, asking those interested to join the search in finding the seed for the world used in the image. SalC1 would then create a text channel in his Discord for those looking to help, and this is where it all began. The hunt for Pack.PNG happened exclusively in Minecraft, as it was a search dedicated to finding a seed in the game. You may think this would have helped narrow down potential leads, but no. There were millions of potential seeds it could have been, and this number would have been impossible to scale had they not properly analysed the image, which was done extensively by the team that eventually formed on SalC1's Discord. It's a tricky position I've put myself in here, I'm gonna be honest, because because the Pack.PNG search has already been covered concisely and well by SalC1 himself. I mean, hell, he's the one who basically kicked off the search. There's too much I could go into here, so I'll just try to summarize as best I can. And obviously I'll link all of SalC1's videos in the description. The team that formed on his Discord server had to consider many factors before being able to find the actual seed. They had to consider the X and Y coordinates of the mountain, the camera position, the resolution of the image, 128 by 128, Notch's computer screen size, yes, and much more. Prior to the later innovations of the search, initial ideas were thrown out there as to how the seed would be discovered. One idea was using the position of the trees in the image to gather chunk seeds, which could then be converted into world seeds, but this wasn't viable due to the sheer amount of seeds and other complications. The search as a whole was primarily coding exercises and mathematical formulas, with individuals writing code to search seeds for things such as the same blocks featured on the shore of the mountain. Actually, what? This code gave back a smaller amount of seeds it could have been, 2 to the power of 48. However, this is still a crazy number for one PC to sift through. So the code was then put into a program called Boink, Bonk, which allowed other users to contribute their PC's GPU power to the search by running the same code. SalC1 explained in this video that over 3,500 people did just that, and that to me shows how strong the community for this project was. The number of seeds it could have been was narrowed down to around 700,000. Still a lot, but compared to what it may have been had analysis of the image not been so thorough, it wasn't bad. A more detailed seed checker was created which took into account patterns in the terrain as well, which helped further narrow down potential seeds. A member of the team named Cortex ran the checker on his PC, and it began going through all the potential seeds, looking for a match. I should have clarified that while this checker was more detailed, it was also less efficient, so it took longer. Cortex left the program going, and the community was losing hope as it came closer to looking through all 100% of the seeds. However, when the checker got to around 95%, a breakthrough. The seed was finally found on the 5th of September 2020 at 4:04 AM UTC, and the team and community on SalC1's Discord were hyped. Finally the search had drawn to a close, and the reward was being able to actually step foot in that same world Notch stood a decade prior. It's really cathartic seeing the rest of this mountain, the surrounding area and such, because for the longest time it was just that 128 by 128 image taken in 2010. The Pack.PNG search lasted for 8 months, which, compared to other searches in this video, really isn't that long a time. However, it's not about the duration of a search, it's about the dedication of those involved. Pack.PNG in a technical sense is an incredibly impressive search, with so many talented individuals. Because of the limited information available to them, they had to get creative and experiment with ideas that had no guarantee of working. Despite this, they persisted, and eventually it all paid off. Something else that was great about the Pack.PNG search was it gave confidence to many other mysteries in the community. What I mean by this is, following Pack.PNG, new projects were created, such as finding the seed for the infamous Herobrine image, or finding the seed in this painting featured in-game. It's actually very similar to something that happened during the Pack.PNG search. In SalC1's video, he mentions the setbacks faced and demotivation the team had to deal with when certain methods failed or became no longer viable, and naturally these would put pauses on progress. However, a different seed finding project was ongoing at the same time, which looked to find the seed in the title screen for Minecraft. This was eventually found and breathed new life and hope into the Pack.PNG search as a result. Once again, it's the internet coming together for a seemingly pointless goal, but whether or not it has any real meaning really means very little. It's indisputable that Pack.PNG brought together some of the most talented individuals in the Minecraft community, and their combined teamwork helped uncover and find the origins of one of the game's most iconic images. Let's stay on the topic of video games and talk about one of the most influential systems of all time.
If you want to save big money on Nintendo 64, hurry into Big W. My name is Big W.
The 3D offering from Nintendo, having been released in Japan on the 23rd of June 1996. The Nintendo 64 is an icon in gaming, and this is for many reasons, one of which being its interesting design. The controller, by today's standards, is quite lackluster. However, for the time, this was a game changer, literally, introducing so many features such as buttons for camera controls. with camera controls, a joystick allowing for crisp 360-degree movement, and a rumble pack, which allowed the controller to vibrate. The system itself was groundbreaking, but so was its library of games. So many iconic franchises made the jump to 3D thanks to the Nintendo 64. These included hits such as The Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong, and, of course,
it's me, Mario!
Do I even need to introduce this game? No, seriously. Do I? It's literally one of the most speedrun games of all time on speedrun.com, and that's due to how influential it is. Super Mario 64, releasing in Japan on the 23rd of June 1996. It brought Mario and the gang into the third dimension and introduced a new era for the plumber. New enemies, new worlds, new music, new controls, new everything. It really was a landmark for Nintendo and gaming as a whole. However, due to the nature of 3D gaming, primarily its visual style, shall we say, the graphics have not held up the best. It's just the way it is with the third dimension. Sprites tend to hold up a lot better as they don't try to mimic realism. As well as this, they tend not to be limited by the hardware of the time, which was unfortunately the case for many Nintendo 64 games. Looking back on the era now, you can identify key features of a Nintendo 64 game. One of the most glaring of all in my opinion is the grainy, blurry textures. Almost all Nintendo 64 games had these very crusty, low quality textures, and it's just due to the storage space that was available to developers at the time. Textures were often stored at lower resolutions to be as efficient as possible. This practice, however, resulted in these. It was just working with what they had, however, and that has to be commended. However, as games have advanced, and modding too, a couple talented individuals have taken it upon themselves to update the textures in many of these older games, such as Mario 64, which has received a plethora of fan-made texture packs. These individuals also look to find where the original game's textures came from, as, like Minecraft, Super Mario 64 has been thoroughly documented and dissected. Every aspect of this game has been looked at. The team responsible for many of the texture discoveries were the folks over at Render 96, who made a fantastic texture pack for Mario 64, which looked to alter the game's graphics to appear like that of its promotional artwork. The results are incredible. Anyway, the Render 96 team managed to find the original images for many of Super Mario 64's textures, and the origins of said textures were found primarily on texture library CDs, since developers at the time didn't really have readily available access to assets online. Texture library CDs were often used. They were literally just CDs that contained hundreds of images that could be used for textures. These same CDs were often used between studios, and as a result, many of the same textures were used for multiple games. This was the case for one such texture named simply cobblestone.jpg. This one texture has become so prevalent for texture archaeology, which is the name given to what Render 96 do, finding the origins of these textures and such. Textures, that it has its own dedicated article on the Render 96 wiki. This post goes into the games that feature the texture. These range from Mario 64 to Donkey Kong 64 to Conker's Bad Fur Day to games not even on the Nintendo 64, such as Medieval and Final Fantasy VII, which were on the PlayStation. The texture really was everywhere, hidden in plain sight, but where did it come from? That was the question. For a while it was presumed lost, as the only trace of it found online by the Render 96 team was from this Autodesk website, where it features alongside other images. However, on the 11th of February 2021, user Flavian of 64 History found the origins of cobblestone.jpg, finding it to appear in Alias 3, a program from 1993 used by developers to make 3D graphics on Silicon Graphics workstations. The texture appeared in a folder named Construction Materials, and that was that. These texture CDs meant that graphics kind of had to be shared, as developers didn't have the ability to grab anything off the internet. They had to make do with what they had. But let me switch your attention to something new, or rather old. Back to Mario 64. The game introduced many new power-ups and abilities for Mario. Apart from the obvious movement upgrades, 360 degrees, wall jumps, backflips, somersaults, Mario also got different caps he could wear that changed his abilities. these. One of these was the wing cap, which when worn allowed Mario to glide and fly around. It's featured very prominently on the box art, and another named the metal cap. When this is worn, Mario's body turns into metal, and he becomes invulnerable to damage temporarily. Mario's appearance in this form is kind of strange. Obviously the texture used is trying to mimic reflections, but due to the Nintendo 64 blur, it looks a little odd. This is the texture here that's stretched across Mario's body. It's really low quality, 32 by 32 pixels. Barely anything can be made out in it. There's some purple, pink, where did this come from? Do we actually have a higher quality version? Well, yes we do. It was found that the texture was actually just the default metal texture used on SGI workstations, which were often used by developers for the Nintendo 64. This is the full-size image here. It's just a fisheye lens photo of some flowers and a house, but it's actually impressive how much it looks like metal when scaled down. These origin hunts were not as elaborate as some of the other ones mentioned in this video, but I think it's just more so interesting to see how much these consoles and games have been dissected. It's a testament to their legacies, and really shows how timeless they all are. I'm going to be honest with you, I've kind of been dreading having to cover this. It's just such a daunting task, mainly because this search has been going on for basically a decade at this point, and I'm unsure if it will ever be solved. I don't want to instill a lack of belief immediately or doubt the incredibly talented individuals involved, but it's the setbacks that make me think that Jeff the Killer will never be found. At least not for a long, long, long time. Let me take you back though. Let's try and establish some kind of timeline here, because we are gonna need it. Do you remember that video all the way back at the beginning of that strange yellow building, this odd figure, then Jeff? Well, this video is incredibly important, as it's currently the first known upload of Jeff the Killer 2 on YouTube, having been uploaded on the 2nd of August 2007. Jeff the Killer 2. Wait. What am I talking about? Let me take you back to the J.T.K image search official Discord, because this is where all the investigations and theories take place. There are two versions of the Jeff image. J.T.K 2, which is the one most people have seen, and the one featured in NNN's special broadcast. And then there's J.T.K 1, which is this. A slightly less edited version of the image, featuring cartoony eyes and no stretched out smile. The earliest known instance of J.T.K 1 appearing online is on the 24th of July 2005, where it was uploaded to a site named Fileman, with text accompanying it reading "Fear of Summer Nights," and a description that reads, "A celebrity before plastic surgery." The earliest instance of J.T.K 2 was also posted on a Japanese site named pia.cc on the 16th of November 2005 by an interesting individual named Omegavolt, with text accompanying it reading "Hoa, ai 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 ai." The image was also captioned, "Which one are you afraid of?" Now, I draw attention to Omegavolt, as some believe them to be the creator of J.T.K 2. However, nobody has been able to contact them. I'm serious. In nearly 20 years, no one has managed to message or reach out to Omegavolt to inquire about anything related to Jeff the Killer. And that fact alone should tell you why this search has been going on for so long. There's so many dead ends, but let's keep going. We're just getting started. J.T.K 1's popularity online began to grow, having been re-uploaded on various Japanese image board and forum sites across 2005. The image is obviously meant to shock and jump scare you. I mean, come on, it was the early internet. It really is not as tame as it is now. One such post of J.T.K 1 made on the 10th of September 2005 by a user named Mayama or Mr. Mulholland, where the image was uploaded under the name White Powder, a name that later caught on when referring to J.T.K 1. Unlike Omegavolt, users in the J.T.K image search Discord managed to reach out to Mayama, who said that a cropped image of a video of a middle-aged Asian woman was doing the rounds in Japan at the time, and also told of a Japanese show that they thought the image may have appeared in. Users promptly sifted through all archives of this show from 1999 to 2005, but unfortunately nothing was found. Another post to note was uploaded by someone named Mighty Omnivore, where J.T.K 1 was referred to as Pretty Face Pack.jpg. This photo bucket link was found by user MyLittleEmo on the Discord, and later Perdidus Redux found Mighty Omnivore's Twitter account, where they then discussed Jeff. These got the search going and paved the way for many theories and ideas. One of the biggest theories is that the J.T.K image is that of an Asian woman on a webcam. With the information given by Mereana, this is not too far-fetched. Another theory that many users to this day still believe is that the Jeff image is a Photoshop of a woman named Katie Robinson. Let's clear the air right now. This is not true. I'm aware they look slightly similar, white shirt, rotund physique. However, Katie Robinson is not Jeff the Killer. She's not even Katie Robinson. Her real name is Heather White, and this photo of her comes from a parody Christian site named TrueChristian.com from 2005. It's obvious why internet users would fall for this, as not only does the photo look similar, it was also accompanied by a backstory, which said that she had committed suicide after awful edits of her were made on 4chan. A story which actually ties in quite closely to another potential theory for the J.T.K image's creation, that being that it came from a Photoshop thread on one of these forum sites, with an initial image starting it, followed by user entries. But this is all speculation. The increased interest in finding Jeff's origins brought with it many fake leads and many fake images that individuals created, claiming to be the original. Some of these edits are so obviously fake, I'm surprised anyone gave them any attention.
Hey, Apple! Apple! Hey.
But other ones are actually alarmingly convincing, such as this one, which has made the rounds countless times when Jeff's origins are discussed. The moderators and researchers in the J.T.K image Discord have compiled a lot of these mockups and debunked all of them. So for whatever reason, if you feel inclined to send an image in the Discord server you believe to be the original, please don't. I'm not trying to sound rude, but it's just wasting time and energy. It feels like there's so much I could mention in regards to the J.T.K search. The interest in it for me comes from how iconic the actual edit is. It's synonymous with creepypasta, full stop. Yet where it came from hasn't been able to be identified. We know where the creepypasta story came from, yet we don't know where the image's origins came from. And despite my initial cynicism, I really hope it doesn't stay that way forever. The hunt remained stagnant for a while in early 2023, so researchers in the Discord looked to branch out and translated documents created detailing the search and findings into other languages, hoping this would attract more individuals and potentially garner more leads to investigate. It was around this time too, on the 30th of March 2023, that YouTuber Some Ordinary Gamers, aka Mutahar, uploaded a video titled "I'll pay $10,000 for this lost image," where he discusses the search, leads, and the individuals in the J.T.K image Discord. This video did a good job at bringing more people to the search, but putting a bounty on the image also meant that mockups were more fierce, as having money involved made individuals more desperate. This is always the danger in talking about a search like this. It may bring in people looking to sabotage or just profit from it, rather than those genuinely looking to help. However, this drought of information and leads would end on the 22nd of June 2023, when user Naskovic would upload on the J.T.K images announcement channel news about a new lead, Mariko. Mariko first appeared online on the 14th of April 2004 on an InfoSeek page ran by her boyfriend Souza, which details in video and image form her weight loss / diet journey. Mariko was said to be a net idol, a Japanese term for an internet celebrity, which set off alarm bells in the researchers' heads, as the idea of Jeff's origins coming from a net idol was tossed around in the past, adding credibility to this new lead. Due to her appearance, Mariko also received a lot of harassment online. As well as this, her relationship with Souza was questioned repeatedly, as Souza wasn't a great guy, being the one to circulate these videos and photos of Mariko, obviously looking to ridicule. Naskovic's posts go into more detail regarding Mariko and Souza. Please give them a read if you'd like to know more, but to me, they're just really sad. The internet was brutal back then. Let's go back to Mariko's appearance though. She is undoubtedly the most like Jeff when it comes to leads. Here's a comparison image that was made, and her facial features line up with J.T.K.'s almost perfectly, even down to the little things like this mole on her chin. It should be noted too that Souza was into making paranormal images and was very proficient in Photoshop, creating the theory that he may have been the one to edit Mariko into J.T.K. It's all speculation however, as images images and especially videos of Miracle are incredibly hard to come by now, mainly because of something strange from the internet. At the peak of her harassment, many users actually came together to take down posts about Miracle, meaning they potentially haven't been archived. It's strange, because on the one hand, this is obviously crippling for the search, but on the other, it actually makes a nice change from the depravity the early internet exhibited. Since the Miracle discovery of 2023, the search has calmed down, with an announcement being made by user Zaft on the 12th of April 2025, breaking the news that the earliest known archive of a J.T.K 1 edit was found on Futaba in April 2006, predating a previous earliest archive on Futaba by 1 year. 2 weeks after this announcement, however, controversy involving the Jeff the Killer creepypasta's creator Sesuar was brought to the Discord's attention. Sesuar's brother groomed an underage fan of Jeff the Killer, and Sesuar tried to defend his brother and blame the victim. I don't feel this is the right place for a thorough discussion about this, so instead I'll link the victim's Google Doc in the description. Please give it a read if you're interested. Sesuar and his brother can't be allowed to get away with this. As of now, the 10th of June 2025, no big updates have occurred on the Discord regarding Jeff's origins. I hope this will change, however. In my eyes, Miracle is Jeff, but it's just finding that original image or video that is proving impossible. I recommend that if you want the full story, as in all archived dates, etc., you join the Jeff the Killer image search official Discord, as the incredibly talented team on there have made numerous Google Docs which summarize key points and figures in the search, with dates galore and countless URLs to paste into the Wayback Machine. I've merely scratched the surface of this search. There's so many potential leads, dead ends, mock-ups and more. From the beginning of making this video to now, there were two major developments in the hunt, that of Sesuar and the Futaba earliest edit. It's the issue with it in a way, because there's almost too much you can cover. Like, for example, for a while many believed this screenshot taken from the site Hiduri was Jeff, because look at the colours, and it also fit into the theory of Jeff being an Asian woman on a webcam, Hiduri being an old Japanese video broadcasting site. However, this wasn't the case. It's a search that will always have more to say about it, and in a way that's quite exciting. It makes it one to constantly check back in on, because one day you might, and when Jeff the Killer's origins are found, it will be huge for the internet. It'll be the culmination of 2 decades of searching, and will show how dedicated a community can be, despite countless setbacks. It's been the case with every mystery we've covered in this video. Erratas, Smile Dog, Mereana Mordegard Glesgorv, Mario Victim 1, Ahenobarbus Henocied, Candle Cove, all that was featured in the Quickfire Round. Everyone knows that. Celebrity number 6, The Evil Stick, the Backrooms, Pack.PNG, Mario 64's textures, and of course, Jeff the Killer. All of these hunts, these pieces of media, have a place in internet history.
Username 666 versus Mereana Mordegard Glesgorv.
They all show what users online can achieve when they work together, and they show that despite getting pushed back, the internet can still come together for a shared goal. I can't thank you enough for watching this video. If you've watched all the way through, I'm speechless. Thank you so much. This video has honestly been a passion project for me. It's the longest one on the channel so far, and the longest I've ever managed to completely finish. And I'm so happy it's on a topic I'm so passionate about. Lost media, ARGs, creepypastas, just general obscurities online. They all fascinate me so much. Of course, just seeing the result of one of these searches is interesting, but going deeper and finding out how those images, videos, sounds were found, the journey if you will, is even more interesting in my opinion. I'll link all the wikis, discords and all that in the description. I recommend you give them a read if you'd like a little more of an in-depth look at whatever topic fascinates you. As well as this, joining the J.T.K image search official Discord for example means you'll be up to date on the latest developments in the search, and will hopefully get to hear first when Jeff is found. The next videos on the channel will definitely be shorter than this one. I'd like to maybe do some book reviews. I'm planning to post a review of Warhol Christian, so keep an eye out for that. As well as that, I've made a second channel which I'll link in the description. That channel is going to be a lot more laid back however. not really scripted. And I'd like to discuss more personal topics over there, such as thoughts that affect me, doubts, worries. It's just more of a ramble channel, so if that kind of thing interests you, or you'd like to learn more about me, feel free to give the channel a look. I've been yapping for a while. I think it's time we call it quits. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, afternoon, evening, or night.
Hey guys, Andrew and Lisa's mom's gonna be honking any minute. Better pack up your stuff.
Thanks, Mrs. Jameson.
Well, you're welcome, Andrew. So, did you learn anything important today?
Are you kidding? I can't go another day without the internet.
Surf's up. See you on the net.
On your mark, get set. We're riding on the internet. Cyberspace set free. Hello, virtual reality.
Interactive appetite, searching for a website, a window to the world, got to get online.
Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.